period. And then we go to trade. We set the standards for trade. What are those standards? Workers' rights. Any country we do trade with has to grant their workers the right to organize, the right to collective bargaining, the right to strike, the right to decent wages and benefits, the right to a safe workplace, the right to be able to sue their employer if they're injured on the job in an unsafe work, the right to participate in a political process, the right to a secure retirement. These workers' rights have to be written into trade agreements. And we have to have prohibitions on child labor, slave labor, prison labor. We have to have the protection of the air and the water and the land built right into the trade agreements. Now, these individuals who say they're running for president and they're going to fix NAFTA, if they don't say they're going to cancel NAFTA, they're not going to fix it. Because the truth of the matter is, the WTO has already said very clearly that any attempt to interfere with basic trade is seen as a barrier to trade and therefore cannot stand. This is why communities and states are already seeing laws that have passed at a local and state level overturned. This is why Buy America can't be maintained, because it's seen as a barrier to trade. Everyone knows this. So I don't want anyone running for president to say, well, they're going to fix NAFTA. They're either going to cancel it and start over, or they're going to keep going and keeping that old horse moving forward with that carrot of cancellation in front until the horse drops from malnutrition. Withdrawing from the WTO is mandatory because we have to set new standards for trade. And we can't do it as long as this structure doesn't let us guide ourselves from our highest principles. And with respect to having workers' rights in all trade agreements, this then becomes a basis for lifting up conditions all over the world. And isn't it time that we had an American manufacturing policy where the maintenance of steel, automotive, aerospace, and shipping is seen as vital to our national economic security, our national defense. This is who we are. And so what do I propose? Imagine this, putting millions of people back to work, rebuilding America's infrastructure, rebuilding our bridges, our water systems, our sewer systems, our roads, building mass transit, the kind of steel that you can pour into that effort. We could reopen plants all over this country. And that's what we should be thinking about doing. And when we have a new trade structure, we'll be able to do that. But an American manufacturing policy that's plugged into a Rooseveltian-type WPA that puts America back to work will put millions of people back to work and will keep steel workers working on the job and expanding once again the service to this country. In addition to that, I know that the steel workers have been working closely with the Sierra Club and other environmental groups on the Apollo project. Think what it's going to mean to have a president who knows labor and who's sensitive to the concerns of working people, because that's where I come from, to say we're going to have a new WGA, a Works Green Administration, where we create millions of new jobs, retrofitting homes with wind and solar technologies, insulating homes, creating new energy technologies which will put millions of people back to work, and we're going to be involved vitally with manufacturing unions as a way of doing that, because this is the way we start to build our economy. This is the way we catch the wave of the future. We're talking about creating jobs here. Now, one of the great frauds in this election, among a few, is over the issue of health care. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen Michael Moore's movie, Sicko, but it's worth seeing, and let me tell you why. These candidates who come up here and they say, well, they're for health care, they're for universal health care. You know, even the insurance companies are for universal health care, as long as the government is providing them with subsidies. But I want all of you to think now about your own families. Think of how the premiums, the co-pays, and the deductibles are locking families into a diminishing lifestyle where we just can't afford to be sick. We know that health insurance companies make money not providing health care, but we also know that even if you have a job, it doesn't solve your problems with respect to your health care needs, because half of the bankruptcies in America are connected directly to people not being able to pay their doctor bills. That's a fact. These insurance companies have such a hold on Washington that some of the candidates for president, who happen to be Democrats, are saying, well, you know, we really can't take them on, but we've got a great idea. We'll provide more subsidy to them so they'll cover a few more people. Are you kidding? This is a defining purpose of our nation, the health of its people. This should be considered a basic right in a democratic society. This should be considered an elevated purpose of nationhood. How in the world can anyone who would call themselves a Democrat throw in the lot with the private insurers or say, I'm sorry, I can't challenge them? Well, let me tell you something. You're looking at the one person running for president who's ready right now to challenge those insurance companies and to reclaim health care and to get the for-profit insurers out of the health care business, to reclaim the health of the people of this nation, to make it that no one has to go broke, to give you back your power at the bargaining table where health care is not an issue anymore, to reclaim our manufacturing base because health care is not an issue anymore. I tell you, this is a central issue in this election. Imagine someone running for president of the United States and they say, well, you know, we just can't take on those insurance interests. We're fighting for America, and I say we can. We're fighting for America, and I say that we can not only protect Social Security and keep Wall Street's hands off of Social Security, I'm saying that we can not only protect that Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation and firm it up, but I'm saying that we can change the bankruptcy laws so that any time one of these companies try to jettison their obligations for pensions for America's workers, that we say that the workers have to be right up there with the banks, number one, or in front of them if there's going to be any kind of a bankruptcy. Then we'll see how many bankruptcies there are. Let the banks find out that the workers are right up there with them. And then you see how all of a sudden, oh, well, maybe bankruptcy isn't the option. We need to take the golden parachutes off the backs of some of those executives who are ready to just take off while the workers lose everything they've worked a lifetime for. And we need to make sure that your children, no matter what the circumstances are in this country, your children will be guaranteed an opportunity for a decent education. I've sat on a subcommittee for years of the Government Oversight Committee that had jurisdiction over the Department of Defense. Do you know we found that there's over $1 trillion in accounts that can't be reconciled? $1 trillion in the Pentagon. They have over 1,100 separate accounting systems. They can't even keep track. We'll spend $1 to $2 trillion on this war. What for? The Pentagon budget keeps expanding at a rapid pace. Well, this administration beats the drums in a phony war on terror. Let me tell you something. We need to have a strong defense, but we better have a president who knows the difference between defense and offense. Because when we go on the offense and we attack nations who don't attack us, that makes us less weak. That undermines our military. That undermines our effectiveness. And I intend to be a president who defends this country. But look, I was a third-string quarterback on a not very good varsity football team, and I know the difference between offense and defense. And you better have a president who does. We're fighting for America. We're fighting to regain our basic civil liberties. As president, one of my first acts in office will be to cancel the Patriot Act and to make sure that we... What? You're not patriots? This is one of the scams that has been run in this country, where you have to claim you're for the Patriot Act or you're not patriotic. The Patriot Act has undermined unions' ability. It has been an attack on our right to associate. It has been an attack on basic privacy and civil liberties. I say it's time to get government out of the business of prying into people's reading lists, into their financial records, into their medical records, into the labor unions' records, and to get government doing what it's supposed to do: create jobs, give people opportunities. Freedom. We're fighting for America.